Hey, what's going on, people? I am leaving a meeting I had with one of my mentors, someone I've known for maybe 20 years, and it got me to thinking. We all need mentors, but we live in a culture where people don't want to admit their weaknesses. It's almost as if they would rather stay fucked up than to say, look, I'm deficient in this area. I need help. Now, you do have a lot of people who do take that position. You have more who feel that they can figure it out. I used to be the same way. I used to be like, I can figure it out. It's a scam. There's no real information there. I was a consumer of the hope of finding some magic jelly beans. I used to think that, hey, there's always got to be some other angle. And once I let that stuff go about 14 years ago and really started to work on myself, started to reach out to people, my life changed. Because once you change your thinking, you're going to change your life. But what happened that I found was really fundamental was the number of mentors that popped up along the way. And I don't know if it's destiny. I don't know if it's just how things were supposed to be. But when I started selling contract office furniture, and contract office furniture is, you go to a business, any business, the restaurant, that's contract office furniture for fixtures and finishings. You go to a building, cubicles, desks, all that falls under contract office furniture. So I was always meeting high-level executives or business owners. And this went on for years. And it was a grooming process into me because when you're sitting there trying to sell someone some office furniture, you have to ask a lot of, personal questions like, what is your budget? When are you moving? What's your business model? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to reward your employees? Are you trying to increase efficiency? There's so many questions and you spend a lot of time. I remember this one job I did, and the lady's first name was Kathy, super nice lady. I remember we went to 10 different showrooms. We had lunch maybe 5 times, and someone in her corporation wanted to go with another guy, but she fought for me, and I didn't get the whole deal, but I got half the deal, which I was grateful for. And we became friends, and she in turn became a mentor to me indirectly, because when you use the word mentor, people think of a contrived plan thing where you pick someone out and you ask them to mentor you and you go to lunch. That is one way, but I don't have any mentors like that. All my mentors have been, this person is doing something that I want to do, and I'm going to sit back, shut up, and watch. Take Andy, the guy that owned the company. He pretty much provided parts for pretty much ATMs across the country and even internationally. It's a very niche field. This guy, 8-figure business, doing all this stuff. He drove a pickup truck. His salespeople had, Lexuses, Mercedes-Benz. And he had the ability to, if he wanted to buy a new building, he could have. If he wanted to trick out the office and make it super sexy, he could have did all that. But he told me this. He's like, I need furniture, but I need it to be more functional than pretty. And he stuck with that because he said, essentially, I don't have to have it. It's kind of like a perk for the employees. We're growing. We need more space. And he just said something during one of our meetings that just stuck with me to this day. He's like, why spend money you don't have to spend? And, I'm just looking at it now. He had it in spades. And I was like, really? You see, I'm a salesman. I'm trying to get the deal. I'm trying to get the biggest deal possible. And he's like, no. And I did get the deal. And what I had proposed was around $80,000. And it ended up being $40,000. So he sliced it in half and got more stuff. And this was kind of towards the end when I was popping out of contract furniture and getting into the resale business, because I actually sold him used furniture. This theme just kept popping up. And I talked to him several times. Super nice guy. And I was at a garage sale that was held by his former partner. It was just crazy because I'm going to see a friend, and I see the sign. And when you get in the resale business, you just go check out garage sales just to check them out, GP, even if you're not going to buy anything, because you never know. And I go there, and I just noticed, I see these labels, and I see boxes, and it's like, Andy? She's like, yeah, that's my former business partner. And it's just, we start talking, and I actually ended up doing a different deal with her for her office, just a one office deal, but it was money. And I just kept looking at these mentors. Another one. If you're in Atlanta and you know where Perimeter Mall is, there's this building that's kind of like a brown burgundy. It looks almost futuristic, and it's called Ravinia. I know the guy that built that, and I'll tell you how I got him. And we only met, we talked several times, but we only met once. I was dogged and determined. I must have called this guy, his first name's Matt. I called this guy maybe 90 times. I'm serious. In the morning, lunch, I called him. I refused to give up. I'm like, we are getting a meeting. And get a meeting. He's a super nice guy. He drives up in a Porsche 911. I take him to lunch, $3 cafe, and we just talk. And I really couldn't do anything for him where he was in his business, but it taught me something. He gave me a meeting based on just, perseverance. Just for perseverance. I'm quite sure if I contacted him today, he would meet me today, and it'd be a totally different meeting because I'm a totally different person. Because one of the things that I learned from that meeting was you got to be really careful on picking your battles, because I was like, he worked for a company that was a target of our company, but because there was information asymmetry, I didn't know which direction they were going in. So he was a good guy. I had great products, but I couldn't help him. And in a very polite way, he told me that. He left me feeling good, honestly. And I took from that experience how to meet people and to really, really, really find out a lot, as much as possible, about the people I was calling. Because if you were ever in inside sales, information is key. You know that you could be calling the wrong person for weeks, and then by the time you find the right person, deal's done. So he was a mentor. And Andy was a mentor. Then even people who fucked me were mentors. Especially one, his name's Ken. We used to have a joke. How do you know if Ken's lying? His lips are moving. I mean, seriously, this dude, he was a trip. But I was really pissed off one day. I was going to quit and just move on. And something said, just ride it out. Just ride it out. Just ride it out. And I'm in this den of iniquity, and all this crazy stuff is going on. And I was just like, you know what? I think that day, my first element of the true hustler mindset popped out, because I was in a place I didn't want to be, but there was value. So I started creating my own economy. That's how I got the job where I sold this office furniture for this other group of people. And if I had left, I would have missed that opportunity, which gave me the income to jump into my own business. I would have totally missed that if I had left it. So dealing with him, now the thing is, he's not 100% bad. Actually, in many ways, he was brilliant. I learned so much from this guy. I can't stand him to this day, but it taught me that even when you don't like somebody, if you're open to the lessons that are there, you can learn a lot. Because there are people, I've hired people I couldn't stand, but they were good at their job. It's about separating that personal shit from the business shit. And he taught me that lesson, because I was working there, I was getting paid, and I was making more money running my own company, working for his company. He didn't know it. He was just like, you're not in the office much. I'm busy, man. I'm just real busy, right? He had no clue to what was going on, but everything that I was doing, he taught me. I learned how the job costs a job. I learned how to organize crews. I learned how to do an install. There was so many things that I learned from being in that situation, that if I had did the typical weak-minded thing, is if you're in a point of pain and uncomfort, you leave, or you stop, or you do drugs, or whatever. You move away from that pain. And I'm here to tell you, if you ride that pain out, you're going to find some beauty on the other side, because that one decision, and a lot of good things in your life start with one decision made during some adversity, it set the stage for everything else that came after. That one decision. I mean, I shudder to think that if I had left and just said, fuck it, I'm out of here, I might, this YouTube channel probably wouldn't exist. You know, chaos theory, look it up, go to Wikipedia, because it's a lot to it. The butterfly effect, chaos theory. That one thing in time, the ripple is still going out in the lake. It is still going out from that one decision, because I remember I was in the office, it was 11 o'clock at night, I was pissed, I was just like, fuck, I can go work here, this motherfucker's getting on my nerves, and just that voice just said, stay, ride it out. So I did that, and like I said, 3 months later, my income doubled. Just from that one decision. And you know, I mean, I'll just give you some of the stuff that used to happen there. I was the only person of color that worked there in a salesman capacity. I would walk into board meetings, and all the sales guys were doing well financially. They had big houses, pools, and I walked in, and one was like, so-and-so was an owner this weekend. That's what I walked into. That was the fucking environment. And, you know, the people on YouTube, they crack me up, because if you say something in the video that's not even related to them, they turn into hurt little bitches. I was dealing with that shit up live, up close, personal, and in real fucking time. Daily. I'll tell you another part of that. There was this lady, she used to process the orders. I'm not going to say her name, because actually toward the end we became friends, which is really wild, because she couldn't stand me. And I learned how to separate a lack of familiarity from racism, because there are a lot of white people that if you don't take the time to really look at the situation, you'll think of what some of the stuff they do is racist. And I had her pegged as a straight racist. I figured, you know, I said, she's got a hood in the car. And what it was, she had never, ever met a black person on the level that she met me. And I'm not talking about I was on this high level. It's like, we used to talk every day. We went to lunch a few times. We got to know each other. She had never had the experience of getting to know a black person. And I just started to see her a little differently. And then, you know, she became an advocate. You know, she would make sure my orders were handled. And she started giving me juicy intel. Like, give you an example. We were doing something that was, we were getting Herman Miller Aeron chairs from a dealer. And if Herman Miller knew what was going on, they would have frowned on it. What I didn't know, and she showed me the invoice. And I remember she came to my desk and she put the invoice on my table. And she put her little pink fingernail on the line, right? And I'm looking at the line, and I'm on my computer, I'm doing this, and I'm looking at the line, and she said, you really need to look at this. And I'm like, okay, and I look at it, and when we hit a certain threshold in buying chairs, the price dropped $80 a chair. Now, our commissions was based on 50% of the net. You're selling 10 chairs, that's a $400 swing. And the thing is, what the guy was doing, he wasn't telling us about the additional discounting, but we were still getting our commissions based on what we thought the pricing was. Because a lot of these guys, they just handed stuff, and the install guys, see, I did my own installs. I looked at paperwork, I studied figures, I did all that stuff. I mean, seriously, I had the key to, everyone had the key to the office, but I was up in that joint 11, 12 o'clock at night just looking over numbers. And, you know, and she did that for me. And when I started my company, she even sent me a resume, because things just completely deteriorated in that situation. But I didn't need anyone of her experience level, since it was just me. So, and she became a mentor. She became a mentor on, you know, humanity, because a lot of times we live in a society of first impressions. First impressions, first impressions. If I went with my first impression with her, if I went with my second impression of her, if I went with my third impression of her, if I went with my fourth impression of her, if I went with my fifth impression of her, I never would have found out about that discounting thing, which realized, because I remember the month I was putting in a huge project. I had sold 125 Aerons. So that $80 swing times 125 bucks was huge. And I remember going into the office and showing him the invoice, and I was like, you know, my commission is not right, because based on this. And he was like, well, you know what? You're right. We'll fix that immediately, right? I I was like, you motherfucker. But I learned how to play the game, and that's my new thing. Don't hate the player. Don't hate the rules. Learn how to play the fucking game. Learn the rules so you can win. Let me say that right. Don't hate the player. Don't hate the game. Learn the fucking rules so you can win. And I'm just sitting here, like I said, in the den of iniquity. There's these guys who they're racist. They are racist. The guys in the boardroom that would say all that shit. And they was like, yeah, we're going to take you golfing, Glendon, blah, blah, blah. And that shit never materialized. But by staying there, I learned so much. It was like crazy. And when I did the thing with, when I'm with the black guy, the crazy Craigslist story, and there were black people come in, they're like, fuck that bitch. Going through that process for months gave me the tools to deal with her and end up making a lot of money off of her, because I have this whole thing on racism. And I'm going to say this. Racism is responsible for maybe 5% of the bad shit that's happened to me in my whole life. Maybe 5%. The other 95% of the bad shit that happened in my life is because I fucked up. So if for me looking at it like that, racism is not going to stop me from doing what I want to do. It's really not going to stop any black person. It's really a mindset. And just going through all that stuff, it was funny. The woman who became my mentor, who pointed out that big discount opportunity for me, was actually a little meaner to me than the guys who were slapping me on the back, who probably did have hoods in their closet. Because these guys were like older than me, like 20 years older than me. So they came from a different world. And I just looked at that experience. And then when I left there and had my own company, I remember going back to a client I couldn't get when I was working for the larger company, because our pricing structure wasn't going to make those deals work. And I noticed they still had requirements, and I went there, and this is when I did my first finance deal, because I was a new company. I didn't have terms or anything with anybody, so they were all like, you got to pay cash or put down deposits. After 2 or 3 deals, we'll give you terms. So I didn't have the money to do this deal, and I was like, okay, I know they need it. So what I did, I went to them and I said, look, you can get an incredible opportunity here. I will show you the true pricing. I will only charge you 10% above the cost. But the deal is, you got to pay for everything up front. And I showed them the invoice. I showed them the wholesale price. And the guy that owned the company was like, fuck yeah. That's exactly what he said. This guy's totally surprised. He said, fuck yeah, we'll do it. We'll get you a check today. Because I was saving them a ton of money. And they were getting great stuff. So they gave me the check. I went to the bank, cashed it, and I went straight to my suppliers, and I paid them, and I bought the stuff. Just paid them everything, because normally, because I was just like, you know what, this is a done deal. That's how I looked at it, because part of me was like, hey, just pay them half, because, I could have got away with like 50% down. I just paid them everything. And then the guy who owned the company, the supplier company, he calls me up like 3 days later, and he's like, that's a pretty nice deal you got. I'm not supposed to tell you this, but there is a competitor of yours who has a similar deal, and they're trying to they can't do it, but I think you can. And he emailed me. This is the supplier, right? This is the supplier. This is business. He emails me the contact. I go in there, I talk to the people, and it takes me a week, because this is brand new. I don't know what their situation is. It takes me a week to put the proposal together, put some stuff for them. And I go hit them with the same pitch. And I was like, look, show them everything. Boom, they jumped on it. 30 minutes. And there's like, Glendon, could you leave the room for a minute? And it's like, sure. And I went to the waiting room, doing some stuff. And they called me back and they said, yeah, we're going to go with it. Send us an invoice and we'll cut you a check. Did the same thing, went back, paid him again. He gave me another one. Dude started taking me to lunch. But because I did those deals, and he mentored me, because he took me to lunch, and he said, okay, I think you're bright. I think you're this. This is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing right. So because of him, I got 4 deals. Now, it was only 10% because I got them so quick. I made a lot of money that month. And I didn't have any debt. Then at this point, I get terms and stuff. And he's just mentoring me the whole way. Just really just looking out for me. And he's throwing me bones. And it was just like, wow, what I learned from that situation is dare to fucking try. Just dare to fucking try. I mean, when you are new, you can't do what the big dogs are doing. That is one of the things that drives me crazy on YouTube. There are so many people who are bright, they have talent, they're good to go, and they're hungry, and I get that, but you can't do what the big dogs do because you haven't run the race long enough, and then get mad about it. And it's really about knowing your place, and this is not to be demeaning or to say you should sit down. It's if you're not honest with yourself where you are in your business life, you're pretty much going to lie to other people about your business life, because that's why so many people don't make it, because they refuse to accurately evaluate where they are. They refuse to do it. Magic Jelly Bean City. And he mentioned me for like a year, and he threw about 20 deals my way because he understood that I could get the money, because this is another thing. A lot of salespeople get the money and just throw it. And even though I had terms and everything with him, I got a deal like that, paid it off, paid it off, paid it off. And another thing that happened from that was, and this, when you start going to your bank with big checks, they put you on the radar. They will call you, and they will, like, either a wealth management person or something. Someone's going to call you when you roll in the bank with 3 or 4 checks in a month, 25, when you deposit 300-400 grand in the account in a month, someone's going to call you. Another thing that's going to happen is they're going to know you by name. When they see you walk through the door, it's like, hey, Mr. Cameron, because I didn't think it was big shit, because when I worked for the other company, I mean, shit, $1 million, $2 million a month going into the account. So I'm just like, I felt like plankton in the sea of contract office furniture. And then once again, another bank manager, we went to lunch, and she told me that $1 million depositor, that someone that has $1 million in the bank and it's just sitting there, can make or break a branch. And that just totally blew my mind. It totally blew. I was like, really? And she mentored me. She mentored me about money and stuff, because most people don't have money. She said, when you have a depositor with 7 figures liquid cash, that is a huge win for a branch, because she said it's rare. I was like, you're kidding me. She said she got promoted from her old job because she had 3 depositors with 7 and 8 figure accounts there. Those 3 depositors got her promoted. Three. And, she just schooled me on money. And I was just like, okay, so, because, it's like, this is a corporation, I'm running this stuff. I'm not making a lot of money. And she said, it doesn't matter. You are bringing in a lot of money for our bank, and it makes our bank look better because we have heavy depositors. She says the money comes in and goes out, it doesn't matter. It's like the fact that it's coming in, the fact that you can raise that type of money, it makes us look good. And then they start, and this is something else too, they can create credit products specifically for you. Like, I had a credit card with them. I don't have it anymore, but you go through the wealth management and you tell them what the credit limit is, because you can get up to 50,000, I think, without financials now. Back then it was like 30. And then once they see financials, and for me, since they had all these deposits on hand, they just went ahead and gave me a credit card with an $80,000 limit, which I use for business only, because it was just like, I knew me. But that's why when you hear this stuff, like, people are talking about their American Express Black Card and all this other stuff, private wealth management, there are people walking around with $1 million credit cards, $1 million Visas, $1 million MasterCards, with all kind of perks hooked up, because it's called concierge boutique banking. It's all that shit's created especially for you. That's why, like, was like, yeah, I got a black card and all this. Like, they're giving that shit out like candy. And it's not, I mean, it really, if you have a company in a year, you spend $250,000 with American Express, you'll probably get one. Because a lot of people they don't have that kind of business spending. They just don't. So don't be overly impressed with a black card, because I know a guy, Dr. Isaac Willis. He's retired now. And when I worked for him, dude had, and this was the 90s, early 90s, dude had a credit card. It was Nations Bank at the time. Yeah, $500,000 limit. 500,000. I saw the statement. That's how Dr. Ike was rolling. He had all kinds of stuff. And I met him when I was in the military because he was a full bird colonel. And when Desert Storm came up, he came to work with us. And he was a real cool guy. And everybody, he was a dermatologist. And everybody was trying to get in there because, he was the best. This guy wrote papers and everything. He was top dog in his field. I mean, you can Google it. Dr. Isaac Willis, Atlanta. I learned a lot from him. He was a mentor because the thing is, he was like a playful type of guy. But if he saw that you were open, he would school you. So he was another mentor. I mean, all of this stuff. And it's like I got that information from him before it matriculated into my life. But because I knew the information, I was able to be ready to receive it. So if you need a mentor, stop looking at, hey, let's sit down, have coffee. Now, the best way to get the best mentors is to be in action, to be working on your business, to be working on your dreams, to really do what you need to do to make money. Because all of my true mentors, everyone that's really, really looked out for me, has given me good information, I was in action. I wasn't sitting around with my hands like, give me information, give me information. I was hungry. I was out there. I was shaking the money tree. And when you shake the money tree, you draw a lot of people to you. When you're doing stuff like that, people start coming to you. As what's that expression? When the student is ready, the teacher shows up. I mean, that's what it happened time and time again. And all of my true mentors, all the people who were really doing it, that's how they popped up in my life because I was in action. So if you want to get real mentors, be in action. If you got a dream, start, network, but actually have something fucking going on. I'm telling you, that speaks more loudly than the best resume, the best GPA, the best whatever. Have some stuff going on because it makes you stand apart from everyone else. Another guy that became my mentor, and this happened at a Volkswagen dealership years ago. I was long time ago. This was the edge of my scrub days. And I was just sitting there talking about money. I didn't have any money, but, I would study stocks and bonds and stuff. And I was preparing myself for the future. And I was just telling him about, financial plans. Dude mentored me on some stuff I didn't know and introduced me to his fine ass daughter. I'm serious. Just sharing my money philosophy with this man who looked like, everybody's uncle. This dude was from California. He had 10 houses in California, sold all of them, and they were paid for. 10 houses, California, you do the math, sold all of them, paid for them, came to Atlanta in one of the most exclusive subdivisions, bought a micro mansion, paid cash for it, put the rest of the money in investments, and I learned a lot from that dude and his daughter. And I was just like, once again, being in action, opening your mouth. Don't go out and ask someone to mentor you until you've actually done some shit. Fail a few times because when you're talking to these people, they're going to know if you're authentic or not. Because everyone that I know of has failed. Everyone that I know of has had some issues. They've had some challenges. These things happen. So when you have similar walks and similar experiences, the conversation flows so much better. And these people have helped me out so much. And the reason I'm doing this video is there's so many people on YouTube who are hungry for information that they'll listen to anybody and take it as gospel. And if you're listening to certain people, and mark my words, if you make it this far in the video, there are certain people in the reseller community, this time next year, they won't be here because their experience level is woefully inadequate to even school an ant. But do some stuff. Get started. Get started. Really, really start making it happen in your life. Because understand, I was homeless at one point. I lived in a boarding house with crackheads. Growing up, I had a speech impediment. I was in special ed for 6 fucking years. So when I see all this excuses that I can't do this, it's bullshit because I have walked through fire, brimstone, atomic ashes in life, and I'm still here. And that stuff that, you should fail, it's going to make you, I'm not going to say it's going to make you stronger. It's going to uncover what's already there. You're going to find out what you're made of, when you're challenged like that. So understand, you can get mentors by showing up in life. You really can. So that's what I'm just putting this out there for you. You can get it, but you need to get started. As Outcast said, get up, get out, and get something. Get it going on, get it popping, get it cracking. So with that, as always, subscribe, like, comment, and stay tuned for this special message. Okay, this is the new thing. I'm putting this offer up, and the day of this video, whatever day it goes up, because I do the videos in advance, this offer starts that day, and it ends in 30 days. So 30 days after this video is up, this offer will no longer be valid, just to let you know. It's part 2. Do not tell anybody about this offer. Don't put it in the comments. Don't tweet it. It's for you. The new thing with the hustler mindset is people who, this video is 30-some minutes long. If you made it to the end, you're my kind of person because you have a long attention span, and that's what you need to be successful. So this is what you get. There's 2 offers here. There's 2 offers here. First offer is $200. You get 3 audiobooks: The Journey to Storage Auction Success, Pimping Craigslist for Fun and Profit, the Chrome edition, and The Hustler Mindset, Pimping Your Mind for Success. Also, you get 1 month of the Hustler Mindset, part of that deal, and there's a webinar that's called Getting Started. You get that also. Now, part 2, if you choose it, there's 2 separate offers. Now, I'll tell you how to get to them. Part 2, the Hustler Mindset now is $250 per month. That's the price of it. If you want the Hustler Mindset and the audiobooks and the Hustler University and Reselology, I'm going to do that for $150 a month. But you've got to stay signed up for 6 months. That's the deal. So you can have the one-off, or you can have the $150 deal. And the reason I brought up the price is I want to reach people who are actually working in business and have enough success to afford it, because my information is like different than everyone else's because I walk this different path. And for me to give this information to people who are just brand new, who are really, if you're hungry, it's cool. But if you're just brand new and you have no business experience, this shit's going to overwhelm you. And that's the thing that I've discovered. And when I meet real business people or people with a plan, it's like they take to it like the fish to water. So that's to separate the regular folks from the folks who want to be not so regular, put it that way. So that's the deal. And you have to send to me, go to storageauctionshogun.com, hit the contact tab, and say, Glendon, it's within the 30 days, and I want offer number 1, which is $200. That's the 3 audiobooks, that's the webinar, and 1 month to the Hustler Mindset Project. Or I want offer number 2. And just to be clear, that 1 month of the Hustler Mindset Project does not include Hustler University, and it does not include Reselology, but it includes everything else. Just to be clear. Just to be clear. So that's offer number 1. Offer number 2 does include that, but I'm asking for a 6-month commitment. I'm going to take your word for it since you cool like that. And remember, don't tell anybody. This is for you. This is for you. And with that, I'll see you on the good side.